everyone, welcome back to Paperbacks and Ponytails. I'm Katie, and today is another video. So today is going to be fun. Yes, this is the same shirt that I wore in Monday's video because I'm filming two videos ahead of time. But just give me a little bit of break this week. So this week, or today, as you can tell by the title, I have created a awesome and wonderful new yearly challenge. This is the first year it's happening, but I have a feeling it's going to be a yearly thing. I'm very excited for the first annual Read Around The World-A-Thon. So this will go from January 1st to December, the last day of December in 2022. So I have one prompt for each month. You don't have to read them in order, like you don't have to read January's prompt in January. You could read January's prompt in July or whatever you want to do. You can do all the prompts in 1 month if you are a huge reader and you just want to read them all in 1 month. Whatever you want to do, I am easy to work with, so whatever you want to do, it is up to you, and this is your challenge to have fun with. So I try to make it easy, and if you have like a certain book that kind of twists the prompt a little bit, just ask me and I'm sure it'll fit just fine. And these are all about places around the world. They could be locations, they could be some kind of like weather area, like warm or cold. But it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be easy, and I do have a book group on Facebook called the Adventurous Book Club. So if you want to check that out, I will link in the description box the Facebook group. I did make a fun and cute graphic for the challenge, so I will leave a cute little photo right here. But it is so much fun. I had so much fun making these prompts. My mom did help me with the one prompt. I actually did come up with that prompt like last year for myself, but I'm glad my mom mentioned it because I'm like, oh, that's a good one to have. Okay, so I'm very excited. I have a couple different book examples for each. There will be more examples in the Facebook group as well because others will be sharing their choices for these prompts. Some of these I've read and others I haven't. Most I haven't. And I'm excited to try to find some new books. So let's start off with January. So the first prompt for January is a book that takes place in your state or country. So if you live in the US, pick a book that's set in your state. You can pick the entire US if you want to, but if you want to make it a little harder, pick a book that's set in your state. And then if you don't live in the US, then just pick a book that's set in your city or your country. So let me take a little bit of tea as my voice is going away. Okay, so for this one, I live in New York. So one prompt or one book that I can use is Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. And I absolutely love the movie with Audrey Hepburn. And I keep forgetting that there's a book out, and I would just love to try and read that book. I think it will be fun, and I'm kind of hoping it's like the movie. You never know unless you try it, so I might try this one. And then another one that I was thinking about reading is called A Room Away from the Wolves by Nova Ren Suma, and I thought I owned this book. I still think I do, I just couldn't find it, so I'm gonna have to look at my owned list that I have, but I will put a screenshot. I'm not quite sure what that one's about, but that's another option if you live in New York. There's a bunch of books out there that take place in New York, so yeah, so that is basically an up to you prompt depending on where you live. So I can't really give you recommendations unless you live in New York. So the next prompt is for February, and since it is the month of love, I figured let's take a setting and set it in France. So any book that is set in Paris or any part of France, that is for February. So for that one, I was thinking about doing All the Light We Cannot See, which is a World War II, could be World War I. I always get them confused for some reason, but it's a historical fiction, and I'm probably one of the only ones that hasn't read it yet. It has mixed reviews. I'm excited to try another historical fiction though, so I might go ahead and give that a go. But if I don't end up liking it, which I'm not sure, but a really easy read, Beauty and the Beast by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau. And I believe the author is French too. So you could read the original Beauty and the Beast story. It's very short. I think it's about maybe 40 pages, 40 or 50 pages. So it's very, very short. It's really a really interesting read. I think I read it years ago. And I think Beauty and the Beast would be a perfect option if you just want something light and short and something fun. So, and also pretty much any historical fiction. Like I was just going to say, I have another book over here that you could use. I have a couple of choices here, but you could use, if you haven't read it yet, or if you want to do a reread, you could read The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. This one takes place during World War II in France of 1939, and it has the Eiffel Tower on the cover, so that would work just great. Okay, so for the next prompt for March, it is a book that has a map. So for this one, I do have a book that I have read before, and that is Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groudon. It is the first book in a duology, and both books are excellent. I gave them both 5 stars. They are very fun. I would say they're a mix of like magical realism and historical fiction, and they're both really good. There is actually a map on the cover. You can have a map on the cover or a map on the inside, so it doesn't really matter. But both these books are good. It's about a girl who is a Jew that escaped from a concentration camp where she was experimented on that made her and created her to be able to shapeshift and change her features to impersonate anyone that she wants. So it's really good. She infiltrates a motorcycle race to get to the victor's ball at the end to find Hitler. So it's very, very good. I enjoyed both of them. The audiobook is really good too, but I only listened to the second book on audio because I didn't have the first one. And then also The Lost Apothecary also has a map. Well, someone said it had a map, so now I gotta see if there is one. Yes, there is. Okay, so there is a map on the front. It's actually London. That's kind of cool. So Lost Apothecary could work for that prompt as well as let me find it. Actually, I wonder if the Nightingale has a map. I mean, historical fiction might, maybe not. Okay, that one didn't, at least from what I could tell. But Carolyn, Little House Revisited by Sarah Penner. This one actually has a map on the very front cover. And you can use that one as well for a map, which I might use this one. Okay, so the next one is, let's see, we did March. Okay, April. April is set in a tropical location. So for that one, I have a couple. And a handy tip for anyone looking for books that would fit a prompt, Google is your best friend. Just put in like a couple little keywords like book set in tropical locations. Or if you have a book and you're not sure about if that location is tropical, then just say, I actually looked up to see if, where it was. The Air You Breathe by Frances de Pontes Peebles. Wow, that's a name. Sorry if I butchered that one by accident. But I looked that one up because it's set in, I believe, Brazil. So I said, is Brazil a tropical location? And Google said yes. So as long as Google says yes, I'll accept it. Google's not always right, but I'll accept it. So that is one book that I might read. It's a contemporary historical fiction, I believe set in like the 1950s, I think. I'm not quite sure. I do own that one too. I just don't know where it is right now. Remember, I'll try to do like a reorganization of my shelves in January because it needs it. Let's just say that nicely. It needs it. It's a mess. Okay, so the next book that I have for that prompt, which I actually have 2 that would work for this. And this one is The Island of Sea Woman by Lisa C. And this one takes place on the island of Mija, which is on the coast of Japan. And I guess Japan is kind of a tropical location, so I thought this would be a perfect choice for that one. As well as this book, which I honestly have no idea what it's about, but I decided to give it a try because it was set in a new location that I never heard about. So this is The Beach at Gal Road by Joanna Luloff is stories from Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is a tropical place. So I'm excited to read this one. It says, when she reached Gal Road, the sun was low in the sky, and the last buses for Colombo were leaving as the late buses into Gal were arriving. She saw businessmen returning and young women with neatly tied parcels and fishermen. In the swirl of the crowd, Janaki reaches out for Lakshmi's arm. Which way are you headed on Gal Road, Lakshmi? What stories will you tell me about the journeys you will take? So I think this is like kind of a collection of short stories. So if you have like a prompt for a collection of short stories, another challenge, this would work really good as well. All right, so the next prompt is for May, and that is set in a place you want to travel. So literally anywhere. If you want to travel to California and you've never been, well, it can even be a place that you've been that you have loved. So if you've been to California and you love it, then pick a book that's set there. So any place that you want to travel to, that is your book choice. So again, I can't really give you recommendations for this one as our choices could be different, but I am going to give a couple just based off of where I want to travel to someday. So for this one, let's see if I can find it. I had it in my pile. So there it is. A Portrait of Emily Price by Catherine Ray. And this is Christian fiction, I believe. And this is actually set in the U.S. at first, but then it is set in Italy, which I have always wanted to go to. So I thought this would be a perfect choice. And that cover is really cute. It reminds me of like a Van Gogh painting or something. But it says, Emily Price, fix-it-girl extraordinaire and would-be artist, dreams of having a gallery show of her own. There is no time for distractions, especially not the ultimate distraction of falling in love. But Chef Benito Vesado's relentless pursuit proves hard to resist. Visiting from Italy, Ben works to breathe new life into his aunt and uncle's faded restaurant, Piccolo. Soon after their first meeting, he works to win Emily as well, inviting her into his world and into his heart. So I know that they travel back to Italy, and I'm very excited because I've always wanted to go to Italy. I mean, whenever I get engaged in the future, that would probably be where I'd want to go on my honeymoon, is Italy. Okay, so very excited. That's one choice. Again, if you want to visit Paris, Nightingale could work for that one too. Pretty much anywhere you want to travel. See if I had anything else. Oh yeah, Danger Down Under by Carolyn Keene. I do plan on reading through all the Nancy Drew books at some point. There's a lot of them. But Danger Down Under, I've always wanted to go to Australia, so that one would work. So anything that you have. Also, if you have questions about, like, if you don't know a book that would work, leave me down in the comments below, like, what your favorite genres are or favorite authors, and I'll try to help you find a book. I'm usually really good at finding some good options for people. Okay, so for the next one, June. This is a fun one. I'm excited for this one. This one you can go anywhere with. This is Mode of Transportation on the cover. And I'm sorry if I'm looking down. I have my list of prompts right here. So mode of transportation on the cover. That could be anything. Like, I literally thought, of course, boat, train, plane, car, bus, bicycle, whatever the mode of transportation, but I went outside the box, and you could even do a dragon or a horse or even an elephant. Anything that carries you from one place to another, I will accept. So a couple options I had for this one were The Boy Who Fell from the Stars by Ted Dekker. It's the first book in a trilogy, and it had a dragon on the cover. And I have read quite a few books by Ted Dekker, but I haven't tried any of his middle grade books. So I'm excited to give them a shot and read it. So that is one option that you could do. The Secret of Shadow Ranch by Carolyn Keene. It has a horse on it. Plus Nancy Drew is writing it. So again, another Nancy Drew book. Really short. You could probably finish one of these books in a day. They're very short. And then also Emma by Jane Austen. This particular cover has a horse and carriage. If you end up reading Emma and it has a different cover, but since I showed you this cover, you can go ahead and use it. You know, because, like, you may not find this exact cover of Emma, but since I gave you the choice, you know, if you find that the book has a different cover, like online, but you have, like, a cover that doesn't have that carriage, it doesn't have that mode of transportation, you can still use that book. Just as long as one one of the book covers has that choice. Okay, so the next one is for July, and this one takes place near a body of water. So this could be any type of body of water. It could be the ocean, a sea, a lake. It can be anywhere as long as there's a body of water near it. So for this one, I probably will read either A Stranger's Game by Colleen Coble. That one's actually coming out in early of next year. It's her new book. And I think that it's a standalone, I think. So I'm excited. I like to just get one book. Although I do like series if I really enjoy them, which I have loved all the Colleen Coble series that I've ever read. But I'm very excited for this one. So this one takes place near a body of water. As you can see from the cover, it does show a beach on the scene, so that would work perfectly. And then also, let's see, the island of Sea Woman that I showed you recently would work for that as well, since it's on an island, so it's surrounded by water. That one would work. Let's see, and then On the Horizon by Lois Lowry. This one also takes place, I believe, in California, I think. No, Hawaii. It's Hawaii and Japan. And it's a whole bunch of collections of poetry and little short stories. So it'd be great for like a collection prompt as well and another challenge. And it's very, very short. It's only about maybe 75 pages, maybe 100. Very, very short. I've loved all of her books that I've read so far. So that one would work as well for that prompt. Okay, so August takes place in Africa, and that's one of the places that I have been wanting to go to. There are so many books out there that take place in Africa. I have quite a few options here. Let's see. For that prompt, one of my absolute favorite books of last year, and probably of all time, is The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abidari, and that cover is stunning. But this book takes place in Africa, let's see, Nigeria, and it's a really good book. Somebody was kind enough to send this to me because it was one of my favorite books, and I absolutely love this hardcover edition. I'm so glad it was hardcover. But yeah, so this is about a girl called Aduni. She's a 14-year-old Nigerian girl who knows what she wants, an education. So I know her father is broke, and her mother, before she passed away, told him and made him a promise that he wouldn't sell her off as a wife to somebody without, like, her finding love. But he supposedly doesn't have any money, and so he sells her to this guy who already has, I believe, 2 or 3 wives. And so she finds a way to escape that marriage and ends up going to the city where she wants to, I believe she wants to become a seamstress and sew clothes and stuff, but then she ends up being in kind of like a house servant type of role that she ends up getting into, and somebody gets her that job. But it's very, very good. Probably like one of my favorite contemporary stories of all time. Yeah, I just love it. So this one would work for Africa. There are a lot of like biblical fiction that would work for this. Let's see, I'm trying to think of like my favorites. Like Jill Eileen Smith, she has some great Christian fiction out there that would work. For this one, I'll leave a couple of covers here that take place in like Egypt or Africa or that era. Misu Andrews, one of my ultimate favorite authors of all time. A lot of her Christian fiction takes place in Africa. And one of my ultimate favorite of hers is called Love Amid the Ashes. And that one is about the story of Job and everything he went through and how he wouldn't give up on God. You know, like the people around him kept telling him, why don't you give up your God? And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, even though I'm going through these issues, God is still with me. And so, you know, so those would be perfect choices for the African prompt. So the next prompt is September. It says a character that goes on a trip. So that could be a voyage, it can be across the ocean, it can be vacation, it could be an adventure. So whatever you want, go ahead and use it. So the first one that I thought about doing is called Wanderlust by Jen Malone. And this book just sounds so cute. It's about this woman who I don't know if she impersonates somebody or she takes over their job to be a tour guide in Europe for this bunch of people. And so she goes to Europe and she becomes their tour guide. And it just sounds so cute and so fun. And then the other one that you could use that I showed before is A Portrait of Emily Price by Catherine Ray. Excuse me. I need tea. That's a hard cup to drink out of. Okay, but yeah, so this one would work as she takes a trip to Italy with her love. So I think this would be another good choice that you could use. Lots of good choices. Okay, and then the next one is October. So this one takes place in the woods. So I have two options. I don't really like super scary horror type books. I tried to find a few thrillers for you all, but none really seem to interest me, but I'm sure like if you found ones that you'd like, then that's fine. I did find two actually middle grade books that would work. So if you want a middle grade book for like all these options, you can go ahead and read short books all you want. So the first one that I found was What Lives in the Woods by Lindsay Curry, and then the second one that I found was Alone in the Woods by Rebecca Baranes. And they both sound really good. They sound a little creepy, but they don't sound like Stephen King horror. I mean, it's middle grade. It can't be really scary. So I think both these books are good choices for someone like me who doesn't like scary books, but I think these would be fun. All right, so the next prompt and our second to last prompt. November is a book set in the country of your ancestry. So I am going to make this easy for you guys because I know a lot of people may be adopted or possibly you may not know your heritage. So if you don't know, just pick a country that starts with the letter of your last name. So mine is C, so I could pick China, pretty much any country that starts with that letter. As I said, Google is your best friend, so if you don't know, you can just look up countries that start with the letter C or K or A, whatever, and that would work just fine. But if you do know your ancestry, which I have a ton in my life, like I am Italian, French Canadian, German, Native American, African American. If I didn't mention Italian, Italian's probably the biggest one. I believe we're also French. So yeah, so there is a ton of blood in me. I'm basically a mutt. But yeah, so read any book that takes place in that setting of your ancestors. So for me, I would honestly probably pick a book that takes place in Italy, because that's my biggest bloodline, as my grandmother was full-blooded Italian, so that would be obviously a good choice for me. So I could read Daughter of Rome by Tessa Afshar, and actually part of our lineage is from Rome, so I think this would be a perfect choice. It says, when the daughter of a prominent Roman general meets a disheartened Jewish immigrant, neither one can dream of God's plan to transform them into the most influential couple of the early church. So again, this is another Christian fiction, Tessa Afshar. Jewel of the Nile, she also travels to the Roman Empire, so this one would work. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm not actually, I would love to find out what part of Africa my relatives are from. I mean, it's basically a pin drop. But I'd like to find that out. I think that'd be interesting. All right, so yeah, so anything, if you're French, if you're German, just find a book set in that area. Okay, and then our last prompt is December, and this takes place somewhere cold. So this could mean one of two things. You could literally place it someplace cold, like Alaska, Russia. I have a book set in Russia here, which I might end up reading. It's The Secret Daughter of the Tsar by Jennifer Lamb, and this would work for that prompt, as it's Russia, it's snowy, it's cold. But you can also use a Christmas book. Someplace that's, all I said was takes place somewhere cold. I didn't say when. Like, if it's like, Michigan during winter, it's cold there. So you could pick a Christmas book, just as long as it's cold and wintry and snowy there. I will accept either one. So someplace that's known for the cold, or just have fun and pick a Christmas holiday book. All right, so that's it. That was our 12 prompts. Again, if you want to join the Facebook group, I will leave the description in the description box down below. I will try to like leave a file. I don't know how to create one for YouTube yet, but I'll try to create a file with the graphic and leave it in the description box as well. So I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day, and I will see you all in the next video.